Hello, everybody. It's me, Ross, and welcome to the recap. This week, I'm joined by good old Liam from Crewe as we get our takeaways, our 5 takeaways from the Morecambe draw. Liam, thank you very much for joining me. The first takeaway has got to be the strikers misfiring. A lot of chances, 20 shots on goal, 72% of possession, but just didn't take those chances, did we?
No, I mean, this has been a symptom, I think, for a little while, actually. I mean, I know we scored 3 against Burton, but we dominated the game against Doncaster and only scored 1. We dominated against Cheltenham in midweek last week and didn't score any. And again, we've dominated the game and we've not managed to put the ball in the net when we're in control. I think there are there's a few mitigating factors with it. I think there might be some personal issues going on behind the scenes, which isn't helping him. But you also have to question the fact that he might be a town boy, and he may have got that extra bounce at the start of the season. But 1 in 20 doesn't lie. Norwood the same. Came in, scored goals. We thought, bang, he's going to start. He's going to be our kind of salvation, I guess, towards the end of the season off the transfer list. But he's gone quiet. I think there's a slight mitigation there that he's been played out on the left. Doesn't help, but he's gone off a boil. Pigott hasn't got much game time. I think he is a decent player, but I just don't think he fits Ipswich. Don't think he fits the way we play. And hasn't been given much of a chance to build up something. So I think a little bit harsh, the criticism that he's had. But I think he could be away in the summer. And then Jackson's come from absolutely nowhere. He had a good game against Burton, but I still, let's be honest, his touch is horrendous most of the time. His use is obviously having pace, and I thought McKenna got that wrong against Cheltenham last week in playing him as the lone striker. If he had someone to play off and play in that channel as he did against Burton, may not have got as much space as he would have against Burton, but he's more effective doing that than being the lone man up front with 2 players in behind. And when you've got a team like Cheltenham who was sat so deep, he's ineffective. So again, but he has never really been that prolific in the time we've had him. So it is quite concerning. And then you look at Simpson, and he's been brought back. At the end of the day, is it now really much of an issue if we just throw him in? McKenna, at the end of the day, I think, is on a no-lose situation here. You bring Simpson in. If he turns out to be a revelation, gets us to the playoffs, scores all the goals we need, wow, what a masterstroke. And if he doesn't, well, there's no one to replace him, and we're not expecting high things. So it might be worth giving him a shot, but it is very concerning that for all our dominance, we aren't putting teams to bed.
Okay, the second takeaway is, of course, the left side problem. Dominic Thompson, of course, was signed on loan from Brentford in January. He's done okay. He's been steady. But this was a game where I felt, he looked knackered, first of all, but he looked knackered on Tuesday night. But that's been our problem all season, hasn't it? Left-sided. Matt Paddy's played there. Mars Kenlock played there in the FA Cup. KV Wise played there a few times. But that's been our problem. Is that another thing you're worried about?
Yeah, it's an imbalance in the team. And it's been like that all season. And I think that also you could link it to contributing towards Burns's slight, I suppose, go off the boil recently, because everything comes down that side. Burns is a real threat, and teams have got wary to it now, and they put 2 men on him. He can't run into those spaces. And we've never had that real attacking option down the left. Penny isn't too bad going forward, to be fair, but defensively is all over the place. And I think we bought him to just be a number 2 and not rely on him. Coulson's the big one, because I think Coulson was supposed to be the man And from some of the games that we did see of him, I think he would have been perfect, but he just doesn't stay fit. And obviously, he went back in Jan, and that was the it really from that point of view. So now we've brought in Thompson. Everyone was happy, but he just hasn't. He defensively looks okay, but not really giving us much going forward, and had a bit of a shocker on Saturday.
So the third takeaway is on town skipper Sam Morsy, who was the standout player on the weekend. Could have scored. He's just waiting for that first town goal. He was a standout player, wasn't he, Liam?
Yeah, he was head and shoulders above everybody else. And look, we've started on two fairly negative kind of sides of this team at the moment, but I think looking forward, there's a lot of positives, and Sam Morsy has to be probably one of the biggest we've got, because he was so dominant in midfield on Saturday. He drove the team forward. Really unlucky not to get a goal as well. But I think the more that we see that, the more chances are that he will finally break his duck and get his first town goal. And he's a much better player than this level. And that's why they signed him. And I think with him as captain, leading the team forward, I think the team are in really good hands. It's just a shame that all his efforts was just slightly in vain, where we didn't get the 3 points on Saturday.
The fourth takeaway is the mountain to climb. The playoffs, are they dead? 5 points now off sixth, 6 points off fifth. Liam, how are you feeling going into this now? You know, you say it's 4 points dropped after the draws against Cheltenham and Morecambe. What do you reckon?
Well, you can never say never. And mathematically, 5 points is nothing, really, in the scheme of things with the amount of games left to play. But you've got to take everything into account, and you look at the way Town have been all season, can't get more than 2 wins in a row, and then they're dropping points, whether it be a draw or defeat. And that hasn't changed even from the Cook era. McKenna hasn't managed to break that 3-game winning run. But I think I don't want to say it's over, because I am a fairly positive person anyway, and I still believe we're in the mix. But I think, like what I said on Saturday in game day, I think that it's going to be very difficult. I said at the start of this month of February that you look at the games we had coming up, and we still got 2 left. We've got Fleetwood and Lincoln. We needed to win close to, I think, 15 points out of 15 from those 5 games. And we made a great start. And then we've dropped points against Cheltenham, which we should have battered, which makes it even more disappointing. And then Morecambe, as I said on Saturday, we probably have slightly mixed emotions that we pulled a result out of the fire at the end. But with the way that the table shaped up, a point isn't good enough at this stage, and we should be beating Morecambe, the likes of Morecambe. The fact that we have only picked up, I think it is, from 4 matches, 3 points from 12 possible 12 against Cheltenham and Morecambe all season, just shows you where we are. So it's going to be hard with the games in hand. So I'm now slightly leaning towards I think we'll miss out.
The final takeaway is just a trip to Morecambe, Liam. It was a great few days up there. A long trip, of course, but we enjoyed ourselves on Morecambe Bay, and just luckily it was a nice weather, Morecambe. But despite the result, it's sometimes just the away day itself. You know, meeting up with different people, different fans. It was a good time out in Morecambe, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've said to you and said to a number of other people that I hope Morecambe do stay up, and I'd be very happy to go back again next season. I think it's a really nice little place, really nice B&B that me and Paul stayed in. And it's not too big. It's quite a nice little place. The walk along the front is really pretty as well. The weather helped, but it wasn't absolutely trying to blow us into the sea, even though we were expecting it to be slightly gustier. Slightly disappointed with the pie, I have to say. The meat and potato pie, which was pretty much just a potato pie. There was hardly any meat in it. Although Dazza does give good regards that the chicken and leek pie was quite nice, but unfortunately they ran out of them. So, but overall, I mean, nice little ground, nice people. They were all very friendly. I think it was just a really nice weekend, and just to top it off would have been to get the 3 points. But as you say, some of these longer trips where you may have to make an investment of staying over, or leaving quite early to be there to soak in the atmosphere, it makes a difference than just going up, say, for the game and you then disappearing straight after. Get to see the place a little bit more, and it kind of takes the pressure off the football a little bit when inevitably it lets you down. So yeah, definitely I'll go back to Morecambe again next season, hopefully a better result, if they hopefully stay up, and fingers crossed they can do that if my previous comment about us in the playoffs is likely to happen. So bring on Morecambe next year, I say.
Indeed, we shall see. Well, Liam, thank you very much for joining me. Thank everybody for watching at home. Let us know your takeaways from the Morecambe draw, anything else you think we should have mentioned. And we'll be back next week for the recap after the Fleetwood game. So enjoy that, and we'll be back for many more videos on the channel very soon.